Hi, my name is Sarah DiDonato with Little Rascals Wildlife Rescue, and today we're going to talk about the little rascals in my care.
Welcome to the Discover Montcalm podcast, where we are going to look at the communities, the businesses, the attractions, and the people that make up Montcalm County. Here is your podcast host, Dwayne Weed.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Discover Montcalm podcast. My name's Dwayne, your host and producer, and we're well over 150 episodes at this point, and we love learning about what's going on. And my guest in this episode, I was on one of the group pages, and up come this little thing, and I went, that's interesting. That's really, really interesting. So I reached out to Sarah through chat, and voila, she's here today. And Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It is kind of interesting how I find guests in that, and sometimes they find me, and we're out just kind of looking. And but animal rescue is your passion.
Yes.
Is that a good word?
Yes.
Is that a good
absolutely.
word? Before we get into all of that, can you quickly give us an idea of, where did you grow up, what, school, and then I understand you did not grow up here. Mm-mm. Could you give us that real quick history of Sarah?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Detroit area, and then a couple years ago, I moved over here. My boyfriend got a job in Grand Rapids, and I transferred to Ferris State University and got a scholarship, so we made the move.
Okay. And
I graduated with a biology degree. And that's kind of how we got established over here.
Well, welcome to the area.
Thank you.
Welcome to the area. And based on that post, I learned a little bit about what you do, but I don't want to talk about it. I want you to.
Okay.
Animal rescue. How did you get involved with that? Where did you find that was a passion of yours?
So it's not just animal rescue. It's specifically wildlife rescue.
Okay.
And it's a little bit difficult to get into, I guess. But what happened was I moved into our house in Howard City, and a few months in, we were hearing noises in our shed.
Okay. I've had those. I've had those.
Yep. And we didn't really think anything of it because we're in the woods. So if it's wildlife, it's wildlife. But one day they poked their heads out and they were little baby raccoons.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did some research, and they had fleas on them, and they were a bit skinny, and I realized that they were orphaned, and they were popping out because they didn't have a mom, and they needed help.
Okay.
So I started looking around for wildlife rescues in the area, and there's an amazing one in Grand Rapids, but they don't take raccoons.
Oh, okay.
So I was really struggling. I went on Facebook trying to find somebody that could help me out, and I came in contact with Wild Heart Wildlife Rescue. And she was like, you're in a dead zone. There's nobody that'll take raccoons in your area.
Okay.
So we worked to get me subbed under her so that I could help raise these raccoons.
And I understand you just used a term that, somebody that I guess I didn't know, maybe my listeners don't know either, is you subbed under.
Yes.
Explain that process, if you would, please.
So to be a sub, you have to work directly under a wildlife rehabber that is licensed with the DNR. And it basically gives you permission to rehab bottle babies or whatever you're licensed for under the direct supervision of the license holder.
Okay.
So if you don't have experience, it's a good way for you to have some guidance and get to understand how to do rehab without doing it on your own.
Kind of in the career world, I think that's called an apprenticeship.
Yep, pretty much.
You know, I mean, so if we want to put a term to that. So you started off as a sub.
Yes.
You're learning all this stuff. You're going to school. You're got a life. At what point did you go from being a sub to saying, I think I want to do this myself?
So the area became obvious that the area didn't have enough people to help. And I was getting calls all the time from people in the surrounding counties saying, hey, I have a litter of babies and I can't find anybody to help it. And I couldn't do it all on my own. I needed help. So I decided I've been doing this a while, and you're always learning, so you can never fully master it. But I felt confident enough that I could take the class and get licensed. So that's kind of where that started this year.
Okay. And we're in 2025. So in the future, if somebody picks this up, you've done this in 2025. And so what's that process, like?
Yeah, so you have to be subbed for a certain amount of time. I believe it says 30 hours, but that's not enough. You need more.
Oh, I'm an expert after 30 hours.
Right.
Sign me up. you
Yeah.
know. But I like what you said, and I say this to my students all the time. You're never going to stop learning. I'm only giving you the basis to start. You go out, learn more, do better than me, continue. So that's the same in your path as well.
Yeah.
So I can kind of picture just a bunch of little critters running around your place, but explain what it's like when somebody brings something to you.
So it's called the intake process. They can either come in because they're orphaned, they could come in because they're sick or injured or something like that. So the first step is getting the finder to bring them to me. We call them finders.
Okay.
And then once I have them in my care, we do an intake form. So what area did they come from? What date did they come in? And then we do kind of a general exam. So is the animal sick? Is it injured? Does it need vet care? That kind of thing.
That was what was coming to my mind was, okay, you got this intake, the animal is sick, you don't have vet at the end of your name. This is where you reach out to people all around the area that do and work with you. And I take it you're probably building up your network.
Absolutely.
At this point.
Yes.
How does that work? I'm always looking at it from okay, this is a job, everything takes money. Would like to make a nickel at the end of the day. How does that process work when you're working with a vet? You're bringing in a specialist, plus, the people that brought it to you. Who's responsible for payment? How does this work? Or are you just a gracious person and you're taking care of it yourself?
So we can take donations, but we cannot charge.
Okay.
So we do run off of donations. I have a full-time job to support me when we don't get donations.
Right.
But we're always looking for funds.
And I never like to assume. That always gets us in a whole lot of trouble. So would you be considered like a nonprofit? Are you going to go?
Actually.
Are you a nonprofit now? Or are you working toward that?
We are filling out the paperwork for the 501c3 right now.
Okay, and from that, so it's a taxable donation.
Yes.
And that's good, and that's really good. So you've got the intake method. I kind of picture, and maybe, it's interesting when people visualize things. Dr. Doolittle. You got all these little critters running all, in reality, what's that look at your place right now?
So I have a rehab room and it's full of like critter nations and things like that. So we have caging, and those are for the patients that are either young or are injured and need more one-on-one time. And then we have outdoor enclosures as well. So once they're a little bit more stabilized, they can go into an outdoor enclosure for pre-release so that they can, get used to climbing again and doing their natural foraging and things like that.
And you were telling me, and it makes sense, but, again, another thing that until you look deeper into it, go, wow, that makes sense, but I didn't know that. It's important to put the animal back in the same region that it came from. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on the species. I specialize in raccoons, and because of the type of zoonotic illnesses that they can carry, you always want to release them in the same area that they were found. It doesn't have to be like exactly on the same property, but, in the same county. So it can reduce disease spread. And also it's a familiarity thing. So if you have an older intake, like an older patient, they're familiar with that area. So instead of taking them to a completely different place where they have no resources, you want them to go where they know where to find the food and where to find the water sources. So
to this point, you're still, you've helped, when you were a sub. What has been the funniest moment of what you've experienced to date? Is there one?
There's plenty. I've had one patient that almost barked like a dog. It was a raccoon, but
it sounded like a dog.
It sounded like a dog. That was super surprising. I've had escapes before because
we got a runner. We got a runner.
Yeah.
Lock it down. Lock it down.
And that actually happened recently. It was an adult intake, and I've got a broken finger right now.
So it's kind of hard. And you were telling me that the broken finger did not come from the rescue side of things. It was plain softball.
Yeah.
So, critters, animals, wildlife, they all are unpredictable.
Oh, yes.
And one thing about raccoons is they look so cute.
Yeah.
But I assume that, you got to be really careful because they're probably, they might look cute, but they can put some hurt on somebody if they feel threatened.
Yeah.
So since you've taken and you're getting your own, is there a test? You said the 30 hours is part of what you do. Is there also a test, or is it just mainly, have you taken that test?
Yes.
Okay. So have you done any rescues on your own at this point? Okay. So you, and I would assume, I keep using that word. And that's a terrible, terrible word to have. That your sub, you're still in communication with that person.
With the license holder that subbed me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. She's awesome.
And, and it's just a matter of growing. So you're out of the Howard City area, but you've released, what counties have you released in so far between being underneath the license holder and yourself? What areas are you primarily working in?
So actually, she is in the Midland area.
Okay.
So I would help her in that area, but I would do intakes around here because
this
I'm
is where you
Yep,
live.
exactly. So I've taken in from Kent County, from Montcalm County. I'm not familiar with all of the counties because I'm still new to the area, but basically surrounding counties, and then wherever they come from, we release there.
Okay. How does somebody get in touch with you? Do you have a Facebook presence? What is that, please?
So it's Little Rascals Wildlife Rescue. It's on Facebook.
Okay.
You can, send me a PM on there, or we are actually setting up a website as well, littlerascalswildliferescue.com. It's not up yet, but we're working on it. Yeah.
It will be. So, it's a great way to, I guess, give back. I mean, because whether it's, you're specializing in raccoons, but are you thinking of getting into other species as well? If you could kind of write your perfect ticket of the types of wildlife you'd like to work with, what are they?
So I'm actually licensed for small mammals.
Okay.
So I can take opossums, mice, raccoons, any small mammal, squirrels, things like that.
Okay.
But there is extra licensing that you can do for birds of prey, turtles, things like that. So when I get more training in those areas and things like that, I will go ahead and kind of get that extra licensing.
Well, and I would think that as you grow, as you are known and you start helping people in places, that you're going to all of a sudden go, oop, we've got a hawk, or we got something that is bigger. So you're just going to kind of play that one, If somebody does have an animal rescue that is a larger, somebody that maybe you're not
able to intake,
you have resources of where you can send them yet?
Oh, yeah. Okay. West
Okay.
Michigan Wildlife Center is a great one. They're very well established. But they, like I said, they don't take raccoons. So that's why I wanted to specialize in raccoons.
Well, you found an area that you can specialize,
Yeah.
and now they can come to you, and then you can reach out to them in areas that you're not currently.
Which is exactly what we've been doing this year, and it's been working great.
And that sounds like a great, partnership. Is there anything, I know that we were chatting online a little bit. When you were coming in here, is there anything that you want people to know about how should they do this? I mean, because you said they have to bring it to you. What if they're sitting there going, I'm scared to death of these little guys, and I really do not want to go out and touch them? Because everybody's got phobias of one set. Do you come out and help them, or how do you work that?
Yeah, so a lot of times this is baby season. Well, it's coming to the end of baby season, but people aren't so scared of the little fuzzy creatures that don't have teeth yet. So that's not a problem.
They may hiss.
Yeah. But once we're getting into the juveniles and, the adults and things like that, we do have volunteers that are subbed under me that can help. And then, of course, if I'm in the area, I don't have a problem helping. But it does get a little tricky sometimes because I have so many patients in my care that leaving is irresponsible.
Yeah.
So, we have to coordinate a lot.
And growth is going to be there.
Yes.
And space will be an issue. And, you can only do so much. But at least you're on a great starting path, it sounds like. And that, so if somebody has critters, they can look for you on Facebook. And then are they, please don't feed them? Or you want it? How do you? Is there any do's and don'ts to
There's
this thing?
There's so many.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really hoping we'd hit on this topic.
Yes, please do.
So especially with babies, you do not want to feed them. They can aspirate so easy. So if you're not trained, you can do more harm than good.
Okay.
If there's a quote in wildlife rescue where if you give me an emaciated baby, I can likely save its life. But if you give me a baby that you fed, you might have accidentally caused more harm. Yeah. So we ask that you do not feed them because the type of milk is important. The way you feed them, that's important. But what we do want is you to keep them in a warm, dark, and quiet environment until you're able to get them help. Okay. So little babies, especially ones that may not have a lot of fur, they can't thermoregulate. So it's important to put them on a heating pad on low or give them a warm rice sock or something until you can get them to me.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because if it's sitting there and you think something's hungry, our first instinct.
To feed them, yeah.
Because we want to help. And I'm glad you brought that up because we could do more harm.
Yes. Yeah.
And then all of your efforts are futile at that point. Is there any last topic, that you would like to cover before we wrap this up? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions with wildlife.
Okay.
One of them in Michigan, there actually hasn't been a case of raccoon rabies in Michigan in over 50 years, and even that case wasn't actually proven. It was suspected. Oh. So if you are super fearful of rabies, that's totally okay and valid. It's possible, it could come into Michigan, but the risk is very low. But anytime you're dealing with wildlife, you should always, wear those big welding gloves or animal safe gloves, have a comforter or something like that that's very thick that they can't get through. But you don't always have to jump to the worst case scenario. Okay. So that's one of them. And the other is, they're nuisance animals, and I can understand that. But they also do play a really large role in the ecosystem. So, they propagate the woods. They actually keep rodent populations down because that's one of the things they eat, right? Insects that you don't want around.
It's the food cycle.
Exactly. So as much as they can be nuisance animals, they can be very helpful. And so if you have an animal that is in an area you don't want it, there are safe ways to repel them. Okay. You can use Repelzol. You can use ammonia rags. But you don't want to just trap the animal and put it somewhere else because that's kind of a death sentence. Okay. So it's important to reach out to a rehabber if you have those questions because we can help guide you on what to do.
I know that I had a shed that we had a skunk and we had possums, and I was told that a bright light usually so in the cat part of the shed can get to it from outside and come in, there's a light, and it's been on 24/7, and knock on wood, we have not had any issues. We've had them in the yard, but we haven't, and it's they come in there and they find the cat food. It's a food source.
Exactly.
I mean, I can't blame.
They're just trying to survive.
They're just trying to, but it's like, not in my shed, please.
Yeah.
But I found that, in there, the light's on all the time, and we haven't had an issue. But Sarah, thank you for coming in. Can you, again, tell us how someone can contact you, please?
Sure. Yeah, you can reach out on my Facebook, Little Rascals Wildlife Rescue, or we're going to have our website up soon. You can reach out that way. I don't love giving out my phone number yet because I don't have a second phone for
I get
that
it.
inquiry.
I get it. I got two numbers coming into my phone.
But those are the ways you can reach out, and I have a team that can help if I'm not able to get there right away.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in. And
thanks for having me.
Maybe in a year or so we can touch base again and you can tell me what other things you're now licensed to do.
Yeah, sure.
So I appreciate your time today. My name is Dwayne, the host and producer of the Discover Montcalm podcast, and thank you for tuning in. It's stories like this that really make me happy. And I know you're out there just to make me happy. Really, no, we're not. But I want to get in and I want to learn those stories about your communities all over Montcalm County and the surrounding areas. You can find the Discover Montcalm podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, as well as going to discovermontcalmpodcast.com. You can check out all of our episodes there. We're on Pandora, Apple, and iHeart. You can go to discovermontcalmpodcast.com and grab the RSS feed and put it in your favorite podcast browser. Thank you again for tuning in. Remember to buy and shop locally.
The Discover Montcalm podcast is brought to you by WGLM 106.3 FM, Business Growth Engine, West Michigan Technology and Design Solutions, and DW Video.